We're going to tie some woolly boogers. We got all the supplies here you need. You're going to start off with a 3/16 copper weight. We're going to do a size 10 streamer hook. You got some neck hackle, marabou. You can tie them a bunch of different ways. These are a bunch of the ones that I've been tying here. All right, we're going to start off with the 3/16 bead, and we're going to stick it. You always put the small side on there first, and then you're going to put on number 10 streamer hook. And you're just going to stick that up towards the top there. Then we're going to cinch it down on the vise. The trick with woolly boogers is the direction that you're going to tie and kind of having all your stuff ready to go. So I always start off with taking my bobbin and some olive string, and I'm going to just get a good base wrap it all the way to the end here near the hook. And then I'm going to just pull it off to the side. I'm going to get that on. So everything from here you want to be kind of at the back of the fly or the woolly booger. So you're going to get a good piece of green marabou. Now you can always cut off more than what you think you're going to need. And then what you're going to do here is you're going to kind of, I like to put it all the way on the whole shank. And you want the tail to hang off about as long, a little bit longer than the shank of the actual hook, because you can always trim it down, but you never want to have it too small. So from here is where you kind of add all your material. So I was going to put this over here off to the side. And I usually will take some of this flashing here, and I'll just cut off, kind of cut off a little, good chunk of it. Again, you can make it longer if you want, because you can always trim it. I'm usually going to run it up over the body there and let it kind of hang back. You can, if you want to get real crazy, you can add more to it on both sides. And then you're going to get a piece of this hackle here, and you want, the fatter the better, but you kind of want it to be somewhat even across. I'm going to kind of pull that back a little bit there, a little bit of the stem, and then I'm just going to cut that off. And we're going to go ahead and tie that on. We're not going to use it yet. We're just going to tie it on so it's there for later. Again, if it's in the back of the fly, it's always going to be easier, because then everything's there. You can work back and forth, and that's where it kind of matters. I do things. Now I'm going to take this flashing or chenille here, and I'm just going to tie a little bit of it at the back. Get it ready. And it's important that it goes in the back, because then you don't have to work against your bobbin. And so when you do that, you're just going to do kind of nice tight rolls all the way to the head. Okay, when you do it like that, this is limiting how many times you actually are going to run your string around this thing, which is important because it keeps your woolly booger nice and fat. The fatter the woolly booger, the bigger the trout, is what I always think. Even your little trout will hit on these two. I've caught like 7-inch trout before on these big things. So then I always like to get a little bit around the head just to make sure it kind of sticks on there. And then I'm going to do some really loose wraps about one back, okay? And the reason I like to do in this order, because then you don't squeeze down all that stuff. So now I'm going to take these rubber legs here, and you can kind of make these however long you want. I learned that if you have them too long, you end up fighting them. But I like them about, again, it's a little bit longer than the shank, and you're going to kind of hold those in like that. And I'll do a kind of 1 or 2 cranks that way, and then I'll come back kind of like a little figure 8, and just a few wraps. You don't have to put a lot, because you're going to end up with more. And I come back almost 3/4 of the way back to the body. I'm just going to cut that off there, and then I'm going to take my other set of legs that I cut off earlier, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Just a little figure 8, 2 wraps that way, pull it back, kind of just got to be careful. 2 wraps that way in a figure 8. Now I'm going to pull my bobbin out of the way so it's over there, kind of out of the way. Now this is where you're going to want to get your, just going to kind of work around these rubber legs here. You can kind of go between them if you want. I just try to stay off of them as best I can. And then you're going to just kind of just somewhat tight loops. You want it to be as kind of fat as you can. Just makes it a little more meaty. Then when you get to the end, you're going to wrap it around, you know, a few times so it looks nice and wrapped there. And then now you're just going to work this kind of loosely between everything. Sometimes you kind of just got to shimmy it to kind of get it through, because again, you don't want to tighten that stuff down too much. You want it to be nice and meaty. You can kind of go between the legs if you want. Now the nice thing about the way I did this, where I kind of tied everything in ahead of time, these go real fast. I used to not really put a lot of thought into that and just tie them on there, and it ends up taking twice as long to tie these things on. So then I just usually get a good, you know, I don't know, 20 or so wraps. Then I'm gonna kind of do a little knot finish there, usually 2 or 3. Pull that nice and tight. Usually on these I don't have to use any head cement. It usually stays in pretty tight. Now, what you got there is nice Wooly Booger, all olive. And then I like to keep my tails a little bit long. A lot of people think the trout will hit the end of it, but I think again, the meatier they are, the better.